Welcome back to the Coco Dominguez Show, Love and Laughter. I am Coco, and I want to bring on a very special guest. You may have been to one of her huge events in the city. She may have even thrown your event. She's known for curating the best of the best. DeRonica Horn!
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And in honor of you, one of the pictures around here is one of your events. I only have 4 up here.
Oh, I see it.
You see it?
We have the certified lover boy.
We have the certified. This is a picture I took with Drake. I'm like, let me put DeRonica's, one of her events here, because you have done some of the biggest, most private. A lot of them we don't even know about. But let's talk about from the beginning. How long you've had the name of her company is called Lasting Impressions. And so how long have you had the company?
So this July is actually our 20th year producing events in Houston.
What? She started when she was 1. No.
You're so kind. And I just, started this because 20 years is this is our 20th year. 12 years of it being my full-time gig. Mm-hmm. But I started this because we had a wedding about 21 years ago, and I didn't like what happened at the wedding. So
Your wedding?
Yes, my personal wedding. Okay. And I thought that I wanted to be a wedding planner. Like, you remember the movie Wedding Planner?
Yes.
So I was going to be a wedding planner. And that wasn't right.
No.
So I decided that I was going to move into a different direction. I come from the finance background. I worked in my corporate job for a really long time, and I really wasn't going to do this full time because it was just a hobby. So I'm like, oh, Coco wants a birthday party. She wants a baby shower. I'm going to do those things. And that's what I did. And then one day I kind of got a call from someone that was like, hey, Drake wants you to do a party. And I'm like, no, it's the end of month. I come from the finance background. It's the end of month. You got to do month end close, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, no. I did it. And here we are.
Wow, so you went from doing, I'm not saying your average Joe Schmo, but and then a call from Drake's people.
It was actually a gentleman named Mel Smith that worked
with
Mel.
From back in the Bad Boy.
Right, Bad Boy. Mm-hmm. I think at the time he may have been working for Young Money. Mm-hmm. And he called me because his wife is a good friend of mine, and he was like, well, do you want to do it? And I'm like, I don't know. And my husband was like, yeah, we're going to do it. And I'm like, I got a month in. I'm not going to do it. And then we just, it happened.
So what was your kind of hesitation?
I never worked with a celebrity before, and this was before, the Instagram days, or it was not as heavy. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking I'm going to end up on a blog like the YBF or one of those, the old school blogs.
For doing something
wrong.
Because
I had a day job, and I didn't have a staff. I didn't have policies in place.
So it's you and your husband?
Yeah, my husband called my dad, I think my brother, and like his friends.
Shout out Patrick and the whole family.
Please. Thank you, Patrick. But mostly he called everybody, and everybody was my staff for that weekend. I did not know what I was doing. I was just like, God, help me figure this out. And we figured it out. And, still to this day, I'm very close to them. I still work with the team, but that opened up so many doors, so much so where I did have to quit my job because I was kind of in demand, if you will.
Yes.
And then I felt that if I wanted to be more successcul, I needed to let go of one thing and work on myself,
and
focus on my own job, my own company. But it came with some challenges, but I'm glad that I did it.
So when did you know that your decorations had you decorated before, or how did you know? It's like, I know what I don't like, but how do you know what to do? Like, we should do this, or did you just have an eye for that?
It's not really an eye. I just think that one of the things I tell people, I'm a lifelong learner, right? Uh-huh. So I want to go into Coco's, spot, and I'm like, oh my God, this looks good. So I want to learn. So I'm not like, I have an eye for it. I can look at a room and say, I think this is what we should do, but that doesn't necessarily mean it fits you. So I kind of do like a discovery with anybody that I meet, whether it's your birthday party or Drake's party. I want to know like what the personality is, what the look and feel of what those things are, and then I decide how I'm going to work that for them. So, and then I, get vendors specifically for that. So I don't like build anything myself. I just, get someone to do it for me. But I draw it on a piece of paper, and my friends laugh at me because I literally draw it on a piece of paper. Like I have a pad, a sketchbook, and I draw it, and they're like, what is this? And I'm like,
the party!
and it happens. Yeah.
But I think, there's a big difference, I'm sure, in putting on Lisa and Joe's wedding compared to putting on an event for Drake or for Jay Prince or for the Boss Life Ball, because there are a lot of extra security measures that you have to take and a lot more things that you got to kind of keep hush hush.
So one of the things that I learned, it wasn't even a crash course because I'm a private person. So what happened was you have to learn that you can't talk about it, right? You have to go into these meetings with people in places and things. Sometimes we would fly on a helicopter and go look at things. Sometimes we would, be sitting in a meeting at 3 a.m. and it's just like we talk. That's a discovery. So whereas I would talk to you if it were your party, we would talk on the phone, or I would see you in person. Sometimes I'm talking to a representative for some of these people and they're like, he or she only likes purple. He or she only wants black. He or she only wants, red lights, and then I'm like, okay, and then what? So do you, and then I'm like, so how much money do we have? So Joe and Lisa may say that their budget is $50 and Drake may say his is $1,000. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So then how am I going to make this more grand so it doesn't look like Joe and Lisa?
Yes.
But I don't have at the time, I didn't have the visibility to understand what that looked like. So I called in help. I reached out to my friends because I do believe in collaboration. So I called in someone to help me. Hey, what do you think this is going to look like? Because do you really think, that it would look good if, Coco had a great chair, and she's going to be like, absolutely, I think it'll be great. So that's what I did.
So good for you. So, because some people, they want to do it all themselves or they think they've got all the answers, but you understand that everyone's an expert maybe in their own field. I guess that's why they become so successful.
Yeah.
And so what do you think is the big difference? Because now a lot of people are putting up pop-ups and this and that. What do you think transforms from the smaller venues to be able, how do you differentiate yourself to make yourself known for the bigger ones?
I kind of remain private, right? And my clients require a lot of confidentiality. And one time, one of them told me that one of his biggest draws to me is that he didn't see me. He didn't see me out. He didn't see me, and I go out, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't see me like doing things and posting things about people and things that I worked for, and the client may post it. So if the client posted, then that gives me the opportunity to do it. But most of the times they do not. So when we do Super Bowl, or if we do, a party, in another country or whatever it is, and I work a lot of corporate events, they don't want that stuff, online, because it could be the CEO having, a glass of scotch. He doesn't want, that out there. So you have to know and how to understand what confidentiality looks like and live in that. So I can still function, in my work. I can go, to a gathering. I can go to a Christmas party. I can, go to anything. But if someone asks me a question about my clients, I don't discuss it, whether it's, again, my birthday party or anybody else's. So I have private things that I do, and then I have public things that I do. And if they're public, the client typically does it his or herself. And then I back up and I go and do it too. So then people are like, I knew you were doing that party.
Yeah. And we don't find out a lot until after the fact that DeRonica production, presented by Lasting Impressions. And you're right. So it's maintaining behind the scenes. And I always, with my job, I've met a lot of celebrities. I've interviewed a lot of people, and I always tell people the best stories are the ones I cannot tell you.
Exactly.
Are more of the behind the scenes that I cannot tell you. And it's not that I can't. It's just I wouldn't be in these situations if these people didn't trust me to begin with.
Yeah, and that's what I want. And I literally worked for some of the highest dignitaries, some of the biggest celebrities, and some of them you just cannot speak about. Them, their kids, their families. You can't. And so I do that. My children are even, trained that way. They don't talk about anything. They know, mom's going to work. They don't know. They're just like, okay. And that's just the way that it is. And it was by design, almost even by accident.
Yeah, because I guess you had to figure that out along the way, because you're sitting in these meetings, and you're right, there are some people that cannot wait to go tell somebody.
And that's not my personality.
No, absolutely not.
So that's how.
Okay, and so when someone now is, because there are a lot of, people starting out in the field that you're in, creating different, curating rooms and experiences and things. What would be the best advice, do you think, if because they're starting younger and younger? What would be the best? It's like, wow, how do I start throwing parties for people? Or how do I get them to trust me?
My advice would be to figure out what your niche is, right? So there are people who do birthday parties for children. There are people who do birthday parties for adults. There are people who do sporting events. That's one of the things that you do. And then two, figure out who your ideal client is. So like, everybody is not your client. All money is not good money, is the truth. And then understand that you have to maintain some integrity, and sometimes it may not pay you the best, but it will also give you something that you can get. Like, think about the long term, you know? And then
you might have to do some free stuff up front.
No, not free.
Okay,
no,
I'm just
free.
asking because some people will be like,
not
let me
exposure.
just do this for free. Okay.
No, not exposure, but more so if a client comes in that you value, you can make some negotiations, because the fees that we charge within our business are negotiable, right? So my fee is negotiable. However, the fee that you charge me to rent this table is not negotiable, right? So we've got to figure out what that looks like. But if I think that your relationship is valuable to me, then I may negotiate that. If I do not think that it's valuable to me, then I'm not going to negotiate it, and there's a chance I probably won't even work with you. So that's one of the
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, if I think because it's like, I don't want to lose you as a client, so let me work with you.
Yeah, because sometimes the opportunity can bring about other opportunities if that's what you want to do. And then two, you also want to have a level of integrity where you have return clients and not the clients that come to you today and then someone else the next day or the next week. You always want to have clients that you know you can count on them. If they have a baby shower, they're yours. If they have a wedding, they're yours. If they have a wedding, a birthday party, they're yours. A housewarming, whatever, bar mitzvah, whatever it is, you know that that's your client. But sometimes in the industry, especially with the internet, a lot of people are focused on like the easy money, the quick money, the people who are gonna, give them the most followers, or, any of that kind of stuff. And that's not people that are gonna come back to you later. Like, some of my biggest clients are not clients that anyone sees. They don't know these people, but I know that they're loyal. They're gonna be there. I know that 3 times a year I'm gonna see them, and that's just it. So you want those type of people, but your integrity, your work ethic, your availability, and who you are and what you give to them gives you the opportunity to retain those clients, as opposed to them like, she didn't do a good job, I'm on the hunt for somebody else. And you do have those type of people too, but for the most part, who you are represents what your brand is, and it stays, because you can't do this for 20 years and not have any integrity.
No, absolutely not. How do you deal with difficult clients? Have you ever had a client that maybe, I think this is not, because some people can just be difficult just to be difficult. Like their job, those people, this is a side note, ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but you ever been out to eat with somebody that would complain about all the food? I remember this one girl, this is probably 15 years ago. She was a friend of a friend, but anytime she came around, every restaurant, she would send the food back. Every restaurant. And I'm like, this is something I think she's on to. So some people just want to be difficult. So how do you realize the difficult up front?
Oftentimes I figure it out up front during the discovery.
Okay.
And then you can tell the type of clients that you're going to have based on how they communicate with you, especially with the texts, the emails, the phone calls. You can tell that. And then sometimes we give the money back because we are not going to tolerate that. Or we just push through. And then what we do is we have a team of different people. And so I may have someone whose personality can manage this client better than I can. Most of the time I do it, and then I'm like, this is going to be a lot. And I already, brief the team, hey girls, this is going to be difficult. No matter what we do, she's not going to be happy. It's cool if she doesn't come back. It's cool if he doesn't come back. That's not really what we want to deal with anyway, but we're going to see this through because our contract says that we will. And we do our best. And we just, a lot of times they are like, thank you so much for dealing with me. Other times I'm like, look, stop calling me.
Yeah.
Because the contract says you can call me this many times. The contract says this many times.
It's that specific.
It's enforcement. So when you go through things, you learn to put things in your agreement.
It's like, ma'am, that's one too many calls.
Okay, and the phone calls don't, and I don't ever enforce it unless people abuse it.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But I know I can tell.
Wow. So there's, but what do you hope after every event that you have, that people walk away with thinking of lasting impressions?
That we left a lasting impression. One.
Yeah, that's why it's called that.
Yes.
Oh, it all makes
it makes sense. Yay. That, and then that one, maybe we earn business from that client again, or some of their guests. We earn that. Sometimes we can't because some of the guests, but that's what we want. We want to be able to make sure that we leave an impression, so much so where they can talk about it, where their pictures are in their spaces, or where people who were there were like, I saw a picture of you, where were you at? And then you say that, and then they dig to figure out who did that so that they can maybe hire us. You know, but if it doesn't fit, we don't.
And I've seen you on the night of events. You are on the move. You are on the move. So how big is your staff now? Is it just 6 people?
So, but they're contracts, so that means that they're there for the event days, or like sometimes administratively during the week. But there are 6 people that we spread out depending on the size of the event, and we just, we spread out. So I can't maybe enjoy the party or come and speak to Coco if she's there or something like that. Otherwise, I'm like running around, and on event days, I'm not very nice. So I try to work on, sometimes I'm not even fully dressed. We could be at a full formal event, and I may still have on my tennis shoes because I hadn't had an opportunity to change my clothes. So I try to get some folks in place so I could at least go change my clothes.
And do you are you doing different budgets? Do you work with people of all budgets?
Absolutely, I do. We have a minimum that we do, but generally that's what people come with, the minimum. And then of course, the other people, they don't have budgets, even though they really do. They really do. But we work with, we do birthday parties. We do, some of the times we have to decline them because our schedules, and sometimes we're under contract with different people where they have us, like, if a client is on tour and they want us on tour, we've got to go on tour.
Okay.
If a client has like some retreats in different cities or states, we have to go to those. So I can't accept, like, if someone's expecting and they want us to do their baby shower and it's a good friend of mine, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it, but I know someone that can do it for you. And I'll do that. So it just depends. So I do work with all kinds of people, all kinds of budgets. So it's not just celebrities, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah, it's just those are the ones that probably stand out because you're like, oh my God. But I do see you do, or other people when they tag you guys, and when you do, because you do such beautiful events. And you're creating these memories for people. Is there anything that you could talk about what your biggest budget ever has been? Is there one that you're just like, wow?
We have a event annually that I can't really talk a lot about, but we have an event annually that gives us, a few $1 million to kind of play around with. And you've got to be very trustworthy. That's one of the things that I should have said earlier. Because when you do that, people are trusting you, because we have some clients that are like, well, here's the $2 million. I'll see you the day of the party.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if you're not,
like, I'm gonna need a vacation before I go planning all this.
Right. But if you charge what you're worth, then you don't have to worry about touching the client's money, right? But we, get that money.
I love it.
Yeah, if you charge what you're worth, you don't have to be concerned about dipping into what they have. You have your money.
Say it again. If you're charged what you're worth, you won't have to dip in. And we can go on and on forever about this, but let's talk real quick about how to charge people. When you're starting off, how do you know how to charge someone, or do you start with their budget and go from there?
There's different planners do different things. So some of them do a percentage of the client's full budget.
Oh, okay.
Some of them have flat rate fees. Some of them do a per day charge. So like I do events sometimes that are 5 days in a row. So then we do a per day charge. It just depends on what it includes. So how you charge is based on what you have to offer. So if you're doing day of and like you're an entry level event person, what I would suggest is you kind of figure out what that looks like for you. So if that's an 8-hour day, how much would you like to be paid per hour? Whatever that looks like. So let's just say you get paid $20 an hour, right? So this is how much you're going to make in a day. So you tell them, hey, I'm charging $200. Right? And that's what they say, like, $200, I only had $150, and you decide if you want to pay that amount of, want to accept that amount of money. But then once you're a little bit more tenured, and I like to say that because people come into this industry, there are tons of event, planners. I mentor a lot of these people. Those are one of the things that we offer.
You really, through your business?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, DeRonicaHorn.com. We do, for
okay.
sure. Because I need you to know that I'm not going to gatekeep you, and then also I can't service everybody, so I want to be able to give this to someone gave me a chance. Mel called me and he didn't know what my capabilities were, but he gave me a chance that ended up being the opportunity of a lifetime for me, and also helped to kind of make my business what it is. But once you get more tenured, then I don't want to work on Saturday all day for $200. You gotta pay me $500 or whatever that dollar amount is. Figure out what that means to you. So when I was a younger planner, I said I need 2 weekends to myself. One for my kids, one for me, and the other 2 weekends of the month belong to the clients. So whoever called first, that's who got it.
Okay.
You know? And then you can make exceptions, but I didn't make them because I wanted to make sure that one of those belonged to my family.
Oh, so I love it, because you just kind of, you got to put your foot down,
Yeah.
and you got to kind of also know what you're willing to give up. Maybe.
Yeah, and you can't chase money, because if you chase money and you can't use it, you don't have the peace, you're not, keeping up with your health, or you missing events for your children, or, missing family functions,
Nobody wants to live like that.
You don't want to live that way, because so if you create boundaries with your business, then you better do it.
I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
we're getting some jams. You're just dropping gems. You know what? I'm going to drink to that. Cheers to all of the wonderful advice that you're giving. And then we're going to get to the last thing here. Mentoring. Wow. A lot of people don't do that. So tell me a little bit about how that happens.
So it happens because there's this thing that people do, and I'm certain that people do it to you, and it's I want to pick your brain.
The old pick your brain.
Yeah.
Let me just pick your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that, but the reality is that time is money. All right. So if I step away from my office to come talk to you, to have lunch with you, to have breakfast with you, or have a drink with you, it's either going to cost me time or money. So therefore, we can figure out a way for it to be mutually beneficial so that I can teach you, and I will not withhold anything. Because again, I can't serve
So you
everybody.
teach for a fee.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah, you're right, because I want to not gatekeep, but I also, this isn't all free for all. What do I get out of it, kind of deal?
And I'm not going to just say, oh, yeah, go by Coco's, and it's at 123 Jackson Street, and I'm going to leave you hanging. I'm going to say, when you go by Coco's at 123 Jackson Street, you must catch the elevator, you must do this, you must do this, and when you must do this. I give a full sheets, and then we follow up, and it's not, I'm going to take your money and just tell you to go to 123 Jackson Street.
It's I'm going to give you homework, and then I'm going to follow up, and we're going to go over
and
it.
then I'm like, where are you? So did you create your business plan? Because everybody comes to me differently. Some people come in I got a business plan, I have an LLC, and I'm like,
and
what about
then?
the bank account? Yeah, and then what? And they're like, I didn't know I needed that. Right. So that's why we have a checklist, because oftentimes we get into situations because we have a passion for something and are not really ready for what it comes with. And I have had a bad experience with that because I did not start my business the correct way. And so that could have led to lawsuits, and did. And so you have to pull your way out of that when you don't do it right. So my thing is, if I help you, then that may prevent you from doing something.
It's like your parents. I already made the mistake. I don't want you to make the mistake. So help me teach you, except parents are not going to charge you. But
exactly.
But how great, because you are helping someone avoid some things that you're probably going to go through if you don't know. And it sounds like you may not. DeRonica, that is so amazing. That's really great for you. So where can people sign up?
The mentoring is at DeRonicaHorn.com. Just, a page, and they go over and they fill out some information, and I just, they call.
So helpful, though.
And that's it. It's not it's not expensive, but to me, if you are willing to invest in your business, yourself and your business, then that means you're ready for it. If not, that's cool too, but I can't take out a lot of time, because people will be
to get your brain picked.
Do you want to go for coffee today? And then they're like, well, do you want to go to lunch next week? And I'm like, oh, sure, because I want to get out of the house. And then I'm like, wait.
You got me.
Yeah, I've driven for 45 minutes one way, had lunch for an hour, driven back. So I'm like, this is 3-4 hours out of my day.
How helpful would somebody have been like that for you?
Oh my God. It would have saved me thousands of dollars, one. And then two, it probably would have allowed me to understand how much I needed to charge, because I did not charge people the way that I should have at first, because I did not want to seem predatory. So I did not want to seem like I am coming to you, I'm only charging you this because it's Coco. But I'm charging you this because
some people,
I know
they'll go up on prices according to the.
And that's not my style.
That is terrible.
It is what it is. The price is the price, and why people sometimes are like, I can't afford her. Well,
one day you will.
Yeah. You
keep
will.
going. Keep going.
Yeah, you will. Because you don't go into Neiman Marcus with the expectations to get something from Nordstrom's rack. And I'm not saying that I'm Neiman Marcus, but what I am saying is when you go in Neiman's, you know that the price point is going to be a little bit different than Nordstrom's rack. But I didn't start there. So I was Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
And so you got to figure out where you are. And then your ideal client also is going to shop where you are.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. This is so great, guys. If you need an amazing event, I mean, big or small,
Yes.
you know, social or just about love or just personal. I see you throw huge birthday, 50th, 60th birthday parties
Yeah.
that people are throwing. So
All
great.
kinds, yeah.
All kinds.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. I
Well,
appreciate
DeRonica
you.
Horn,
you.
Lasting Impressions, and that's Impressions with an E. You can look her up if you need a mentor. What a great opportunity to invest in yourself and really, she's not gatekeeping, guys. That's why I brought her on. I knew I should have brought her on. High five.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, love and laughter, the Coco Dominguez Show. Salud, mamita.
Cheers.
All right, we'll see you next time.